And I'm joined by Blaze Bayley. Nice to speak to you, man. How you keeping?
Hello, I'm doing very, very well. Thank you for having me on the show.
Pleasure's all mine, Blaze. Pleasure's all mine, mate. Now, you're all set to release War Within Me on the 9th of April. Mate, I've been obviously fortunate enough to be sent a copy from Mark. This is a storming album, Blaze, mate. It's
thank you.
Real positive. There's a lot of positivity in there. You know, tracks like Walk, obviously the title track itself, and then other tracks like Warrior and Pull Yourself Up. I found like pretty almost like battle cry, kind of like call to arms type songs.
Well, thank you, Lee. Thank you very much. What we wanted to do was something that was positive. We often, have a positive outlook on things. And during my career, from the early days, I've tried to have an anti-suicide message in as much to myself as anybody else.
Yeah.
Is like, well, just hang on. You have got choices. And these are things that we forget when we're bound up in these awful, awful circumstances where, our mind goes into a downward spiral. So this time we had done the last gig, and I think it's one of the last ever live gigs in Europe, in London in March. We were expecting it to be cancelled, but no, it wasn't. And it was a sold-out gig, Burfest, 500 people, wonderful reaction, absolutely fantastic. And we were always scheduled to write and record in 2020.
Cool.
And after that, then, this festival's postponed. And we had such cool festivals. I mean, we were really excited about what we were going to do that year. And we had a little bit of touring to go with my 10th Dimension album, and everything cancelled, postponed, and all of this. But what that actually meant was every time, and it was tragic, it was heart-wrenching that the festival was postponed or cancelled. Well, that was an extra 3 days that we had no travelling to getting back, recovery. So that's an extra 3 days that we could spend writing or not listening or doing anything and coming back with a fresh perspective. And then we'd get another 3 days and then we'd get another 2 weeks where, things happened. So actually what happened was, and this is so unusual, and this hasn't happened since the write and record that album. And in March, I met a lot of my fans. I'm on first name terms with quite a few fans. There's always been a free meet and greet at every headline Blaze Bayley concert. And as we started coming into this darkness, it became obvious to me that my fans have supported me through thick and thin, through good times and bad. They have stayed with me, and I wasn't always great, man. Back in, sometimes, I didn't always have the consistency that I have now about my performances, and people have stuck with me. And even if the gig wasn't good, they've come to the next one and they've given me a chance and they've stuck with me. And I felt, you know what? People have been waiting 2 years for the next studio album. They've been patient. Now, I'm going into their head. They're going to put their headphones on. I'll be in their head. They're going to put me in their car and they're going to drive around with me. They're going to take me up to their bedroom and put me on their hi-fi and be in bed with me. When I get there, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
Say anything. What am I going to say? And it became very important to me to really have a positive message. We do have a lot of positive songs. There's a lot of positive things that I've done, and with Chris Appleton I've done, and with Michelle, my other co-writer, that we've done a lot of positive things with Thomas Fison, a lot. But on this occasion, it was, man, this has to be positive. We've got to really pull something out this time. And Chris said, right, okay, well, first thing, I want to try everything on the old acoustic guitar. And I've just got an old acoustic guitar at home. It's not a plug-in one. It's just you stick a mic in front of it. I had a mic, he had a mic, and we started all of the ideas that we already had. We got them out the vault. We converted them into acoustic, and we just started like this. And then if some inspiration came, it's like, oh, this, oh, now it goes there. Now the note, you'll see it. Now it goes there, now it goes there. You know, and then other times it was, oh, let's not try this one again today. Let's go on to something else, you know. And then towards the end of the process, you're going, oh, Nikola Tesla is a complete bastard. The journey I've been on to try and get this thing together, and it's like, and that's it. And you know, all of the three scientists, they all had their own problems, which I thought, you know, normally I'm writing about historical characters and people in reality. I investigate the story. I start thinking a little bit about, oh, what could I use as a lyric? And it's not that difficult using my technique and experience to come together. But these three, man, it was a huge challenge. Every one of them. The unstoppable Stephen Hawking nearly stopped me. You know, it was an old idea that was called The Hawk that we just jammed because Chris Appleton wanted to try a new studio. So we did a demo song for him to try at this studio. Oh, yeah. And then we just got it back out. So, yeah, let's have a look again at this Stephen Hawking idea. And we did. And it was like, oh, there's not quite as much as we thought. It's not quite as good as what we thought. And I think there's one little section of the original song that's actually the middle bit now that we kept from it because we were going round that much. And all of the time, we always refer to songs as a journey. And the album had to be a journey, and each song had to be a journey. They didn't have to relate directly to each other, but they had to have a theme. And the feeling had to be that at the end of the album, my fan goes, oh, I've got my Blaze album. I feel better. Just that. That's all I wanted. And I could just visualize some of my fans. Something, man. It's if I'm your favorite artist and you've been listening to my music to keep you going through the lockdown, the new thing that you get, it has to make you forget about the horrible circumstances of lockdown and death and disease and viruses, and make you forget just for a while so you can go, oh, yes, it's heavy metal. Wow. You know, it's a tiny microscopic holiday in the life of misery that we've been going through. And that was it, man, start to finish. And there is some darkness on there. And, you know, but overall, what we tried to do was, is this the right key to get this part of the voice that produces aggression and that emotion? Is this the right key? Is this the right chord where we get the full spoken voice to singing that will connect more deeply and say, this is a very serious thing that I'm saying? And so we would try and do that, and we constantly check all of the way through. And we had inspiration, we had luck, and we had a lot of hard work. And, you know, you get to the end of listening to the demo and you've been working on it, and you kind of looking like this, you know, over at the other guy. And I kind of looking at like this at Chris, and I'm going, it's finished. I'm going, is he, what, you know, and then sometimes he hasn't said anything or I haven't said anything, think, oh, maybe this is, it's almost finished. It's almost finished. And then other times you go, and, you know, Chris, you start going, oh no, what's coming? You go, I don't want to say this, but, I don't think we've got a good chorus. And then you're like, what? And of course, the standards are so high. It's like, no, man, if that's not there,
Yeah.
then, you know, if it's down there, it's no good saying it will do. There is no it will do. It is magnificent. It is huge. This is it. This is the best chorus we've ever written. Everyone has to be like that. That's what we're like, you know. And sometimes, like on every store ends, I'm convinced it's finished. I'm absolutely convinced. And then he's come up, I think we need a bridge section. I'm like, oh, man. And it's like, you know that instrumental? I go, no. And the more work. And what I thought was perfect and finished, more work. And then towards the end, he's going, no, I think, and I'm going, doesn't make sense. So I had to find another verse, and that was me, my own fault. So then I'm screaming at myself, you know, and I get so frustrated, I throw things at Chris because it's my problem and I've caused the problem. So, man, it was a lot. It was a lot to do it, but I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky, and I'm so grateful for the support that I get. My fans made it possible for me to make this album. And so I had it in me all the time. I know who I'm making this album for. Yeah. I know who these people are. And I know that I can give them a little something, a little boost. I'm not, you know, arrogant enough to think that I can heal people with heavy metal. But maybe I can make my fans at least feel a little bit better than they did before they listened to the album. And that kept us going, really. That was a huge, I felt it was an inspiration, and also I had an obligation, more than I've had with any other album that I've done. At these times, in these circumstances, I had an obligation to my fans to really do something that they could be proud of and look forward to listening to a few times. So that was it. And War Within Me,
yeah,
the title track was one of the last ones that we finished.
How was it?
That is this argument. Yeah, Chris did this lovely demo with drums and everything on it, but with no melody or vocal idea. Said, well, we've still got this one that we haven't worked on. So he left it with me, and I worked like Ian Gillan works, where you take the song completed and then you find where is the melody, and what lyrics come to do this, which it's different to the way I do most of my songs, but it's still a very enjoyable way and a challenging way to work. And I was looking at some of the notes that I used for my meditations, and it started coming to me. And it's this thing about the small decisions that we trivialize and don't look at, but every small decision that I make now determines what happens to me in the future.
Yeah.
Every small one. And if I make a series of very small decisions that go in the right direction, I'm going to be better. And this was the battle that is there in War Within Me. There is the negative, self-destructive, lazy me that wants
that side of us.
Yeah,
we all have that
we
side
all
of
do.
us,
That wants to stay in bed, wants to, seeks oblivion. And then there is the other side of me that wants to take responsibility, knows and understands that my own happiness and my own welfare begins with me. And these two sides are fighting, they're battling, they're at war with each other sometimes. Who will get the better part of yourself and the energy that you have available? The self-destruction or the responsibility and the courageous you? And that was it. And that was my battle. And I wanted to put that into words. And I was so lucky it just came together with this music. And then the mixing, man, on this was just so difficult
I was
because
going to say, how did it work on the mixing side of things? Obviously, recording in this period.
Impossible.
Yeah.
Chris is in Manchester and I'm in Birmingham, and what happens is you can't mix live on Zoom or Skype. Because of the quality and everything, what you've got to do is you can have a talk. Oh, it's going like this. Maybe we could turn this or not. Then you've got to wait for a mix to come through, listen to it. And listening to it doesn't mean you listen to it once. That's listening to it on 5 separate pieces of equipment and making notes. So, right, in the headphones, what does it do? On the professional headphones that I use in the studio, then what does it do on the professional studio monitors? Where's the stereo? Then what does it do on the old crap speakers? Then what does it do on the little speaker? Then what does it do in a completely different room? And all of these things have to be listened to. And right, before you turn anything up, turn anything down, you've got to be sure why you're doing it and if it's necessary. Because if you're sat in a room where you've got resonant bass and ugly things, you could be going, oh, we've got to turn this down. You go into a different room on a different set of speakers and you go, where's the guitars?
Yeah, where is it?
And that's it, because a sound is vast, wonderful, and frustrating. And so that was it. So things that would have taken 10 minutes if we were in the same room. What do you think of that? No, I don't like it. What's that? No, let's try that. Oh, yeah. Was send me a mix. Hours later, got the mix through. Hours later, oh, man. So that it was very challenging. And we were getting towards the end. And Chris had done some really interesting intros where, like things were building up at the start of the album and everything. I'm like, nah, something's not right. And then we got some drums that we got Martin to do. I was like, nah, it's not. We're going round and round. And then nothing was right. And I said, you know what this is? It's just old school. This is the beginning of We Rock on Holy Diver. This is old school, start with a heavy metal riff. This is Paranoid from Black Sabbath. This is just start with a riff. That's it. There's nothing fancy. And I thought, I've waited 2 years for this. So what do I want to hear? Nothing. I just want it to start, right? And if I had hair, to actually part my hair,
I know the feeling.
Yeah. So that was it. And I'm like, no. I said, Chris, take everything off it. I just want the guitars and I want them twice as loud. He's going, are you sure? I go, yes, I am absolutely sure. Because these guitars are really loud, you know. I don't know they are. And then he comes, so he goes, da, 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 da. It's like, yes, that's it. That's it. There is a war, and it starts with a heavy metal guitar going, yeah, I'm ready. Come on. So that was it, man. But it was so frustrating, the mixing. I mean, it put us right on the edge. We're both glad to see the back of it, to be honest. It's so difficult and challenging. I think it's the toughest mix I've ever done.
So I imagine just doing anything in these circumstances the last year has been pretty challenging, mate.
Well, it's the first album I've made that I didn't rehearse with the band. And that is very unusual. My writing and my style, apart from some little things that we've done with Wolfsbane, is very much, we'll get the song up to a certain standard, then we'll get into rehearsals and we'll see how it feels then, and we'll start embellishing and finding little bits, and I'll go, Martin, I think there's room for a fill here, or Carl, we could do something here, and you know, or maybe that's too long, maybe it's too short, and we'd rehearse and get that vibe from rehearsal and then record. But with this, we were right, well, what do we send to the guys? We need it to be aim and sat at a social distance, and we were very, you know, as careful as we could be about it. Everything there, oh man, it was a challenge. It was different, but in the end, we had that little bit more time, and we knew where we wanted to go as well. And I think that's always a very positive thing. It's not so important what your destination is, but it is important to know that what your destination, where you're going to go. Right, what is it going to be? Doesn't matter. Where is it? Where is it? Where are we trying to get to? And I think because we had that, and our last 3 albums that we worked on together were a concept, the infinite entanglement concept, that every song had to relate to each other, part of one story. That on the War Within Me album, the songs didn't have to relate to each other. They didn't have to connect to each other. So that made it simpler, but they all had to mean something. They all had to have this very strong flavor. And as a collection, you had to get to the end of song 10 and feel, oh, I'm glad I've listened to that. I feel better for listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I've there's I can only sort of go from, you know, Wireless and I was saying, you know, obviously title track kicking things off, that's got positive energy. And then I was mentioning earlier, like Pull Yourself Up and Warrior. And then they've got the positive. And then we were talking about the songs you did for like Alan Turing and Stephen Hawking. They showed the different side with it being, you know, everybody, you know, those are some, in my opinion, 2 of the greatest minds that ever to exist. And even obviously, like you were saying, even they had their struggles. And yet again, it still puts that thing of you're not on your own. Everybody goes through this thing. And just musically as well, I felt really, it's something that when gyms are open, that's going to be in my ears. That's the way I was singing it. It's one of those things where I came out and all I want to do, I had the office to myself at work, and I'm like, right, I'm putting this on again and I'm giving it a good few listens because I got the office to myself. And someone came in and I'm blasting out and they're like, Lee, and I'm like, I'm not answering the phone, it's fine. And it was just that thing. It was a proper fired up album where I got to the end and I thought, fuck yes. I want to hear these songs live. I want to be down the front and I want to see Blaze in action playing these songs, and I want him to hear him doing it because it was a proper, like I say, like a call to arms type thing. It just got you fired up.
Well, this is where I'm really lucky, you know, that I get to meet a lot of my fans, and it's very humbling when people share their stories with me. And something I'm very proud of. Oh, well, I suppose pride is the wrong word, but I really enjoy it. It's a boost for me, and people don't say it to give me a boost, I don't think, but they say, oh, this is one of my workout songs.
Yeah.
And I love it, because I have my own list of workout songs that I take to the gym with me. That I'm like, right, no matter how I feel, right, earplugs in there.
Go for it.
That's it. I'm on my way, and I thought, that was one of the things that I thought of when we were doing it, and I would say to Chris, people are going to be in the gym to this one, mate. This is the one where they're going to pull yourself up, pull yourself up, and so don't believe in what they tell you. You can't do anything. So yeah, so that was a part of it. I did think about that, man. Those situations were in my mind, and of course there's a kind of separation anxiety. I know that sounds very melodramatic, but we finished the album, the ordeal of the mixing, we've got it to where we think, right, that's the best that we can do.
Yeah.
And we meet in a deadline. We always have deadlines. We never work to open space. We always have a deadline to meet, a direction, somewhere to get to. And but that's last year.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, thank goodness it's over. And then you go, well, I think it's good. Will it? I mean, well, is it going to? And then it gets further and more days and nobody's heard it. And you're going, well, maybe it's not that good. I wonder if we should have remixed it. I wonder, and then the first reviews come in and the single is out and fans send messages saying, oh, I like the new thing. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness for that. And then, which I never expected this at all, and then people like you, Lee, go, oh, actually, I get the positive vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, thank good we've done it. It was there in our minds. We worked so hard. And the problem and also the joy that Chris Appleton and I have of working together is that we won't stop. And it's just, I think he's one of the only other people that I've met with all the people that I've written songs with that will just keep going and trying every variation. Right, we've got this. Yeah, is that the best? Should we try it this way? Should we try it that way? Is it? And we'll go around and around and around, and we'll either come back, no, this is the best, or we're somewhere else completely by the end, and that can be hours. Yeah. And it could be right. Well, this is a classic one from Chris. Oh, I'm not working till 3:00 this morning. And then there you are. What time is it? 4:00. And that's it. And we kept going. Some things, bang, it's there. Bit of adjustment, yeah, great. And then other things, no, something's missing, something's not right. So at the end of it all, there's a huge relief. And then there's this nerves about, well, have we gone up our own arse, or have we achieved what we wanted to? And you just don't know until people outside the team can hear it. Because why would anybody that you're close to say it's rubbish? You know what I mean? So it's like, nobody that you're close to is going to say, oh, your new album that I've watched you agonizing over, spending hours on, having arguments about, oh, that's rubbish.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's like no one who's close to you, if they're
no, going to do that, no.
Oh, it's good. No matter what it's like, if it is rubbish, they're obliged as a friend or family member. You are obliged to say, "Oh, it's good. Don't worry, it's good." You know, you can't trust them because they've got to say it's good. So once it's out there and fans can say it's not awful, I'm like, oh, that's a relief. And then when fans say, "Oh, I like the new song War Within Me," go, oh. And then when people like you, Lee, say, "I can hear what this album is supposed to mean from start to finish," I did feel better. I'm like, oh, it's a huge relief because you don't know if you've done it.
You certainly have with this one, mate. You certainly have.
Oh, thank you. That's great to hear, man. That's great to hear.
I loved even like the little nods to Alan Turing and Stephen Hawking in the artwork as well. I thought that was really cool.
I was lucky with this one at the same time as your CD, and I said, "What?" He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "But it's got to be old school. One good piece of vinyl." I said, "Can I have gatefold?" He said, "Yeah, but only one piece of vinyl. If you want to have vinyl." So I said, "Yeah." And then, of course, you're thinking of the artwork like this, not like this. And I work with just a great Spanish artist who is so cool and really understands my music. And I was saying, you know, every song has a meaning. There's something about all of them. And, you know, I said, I really want a black hole on the cover, you know, to give that like subliminal thing about Hawking. He said, "Well, why don't we have Hawking's chair disappearing into the black hole?" And then he came up with the Enigma idea, and then doing a concert on the back and riding my motorcycle, and it just absolutely fantastic. But of course, we could judge all of that big, and which was luxury. You know, we don't often have the ability to do that because things come out on CD first. And then the other side of it was, well, of course, if it's on an album, you're looking at 42 minutes. So it's like, great. So this is another challenge. Right, I'm 14 again. Side one, side two. Yeah. How do we end side two? How do we end side one? What starts side two? What's the end of the album? Everything's more important now because you're actually making a record, which as a kid, you aspired to make albums, not CDs, which we never wanted, and they forced us to have so that they could sell everything to us 3 times over. We've already got the album. Oh, you've got to buy the CD because it's clearer. A lie. And also you can drive your car over it or put it in the freezer. It will still work. And it's like, and I'm like, well, I never drove my car over my vinyl collection or put that in the freezer. No. What difference does it make? See, basically, as long as you put it back in the cover and don't scratch it, it's very frustrating. So then we have MP3. Oh, no, you've got quality. Now we buy it all again because we've lost our CDs or sold them at the car boot. And oh, man. So we've bought the same things 3 times over because they made us have CDs that we never wanted. Never wanted. I was happy with albums and cassettes. Yeah. That was enough for me. You know, to be honest, yeah, I love MP3. I love having 1,000 songs. I love having my whole music collection on my phone. And when I'm away on tour, that makes a huge difference, man, being away from home and being able to put a playlist together for any mood that you are in. Then I've got to listen to this one today. Or I must wait, I've got to listen to this one. You know, I've got a playlist that says The Gym.
I've got one of them.
Yeah, The Gym. I've got a playlist that says Good Morning, which is an hour of songs to make me wake up. You know, which can, you know, ends with Leonard Skinner, Free Bird, like a free bird, yeah, you know, and all of this. So that's it. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
about it as a nerdy geek collector. Of course, many of us, we still need to have that physical thing, but it's okay if it doesn't leave the shelf very often. That's okay now. That's all right. So it's a different world, and to have the luxury and the excitement for me and Chris anyway, we were just kids, man. We were just teenagers going end of side one. It's just brilliant. It was just great. So, and the artwork and everything, we were teenagers all over again. And I feel so grateful that we've been able to do that.
Obviously, I know Chris from Absolver, but I don't know how you guys actually met, as it were.
Well, I was doing a tour with I had a new band together for Man Who Would Not Die album, and it just happened by a set of circumstances that probably Chris is better able to say than me, that Fury UK, which was his band at the time, came along to be the support for Blaze Bayley on that tour. I mean, they were just, just above nothing and getting somewhere and starting to make and doing what we all do, all of us that are serious in those early days, would just go anywhere for a gig to get the name out, and him, Chris and his band, they were doing that. So they came out, they supported me on tour. We got along very well as two bands on tour, and sharing equipment and all of that. No egos, everything about the music, everything about the performance. Be on time, do your best, treat the fans with respect. And then years later, I mean, metal was just about over for me, and I was just doing odd special guest appearances and working sometimes acoustic with Thomas Fyson, and just not much really happening. And after one of my acoustic gigs, which actually Chris had promoted in Manchester, he said to me, if you ever want to try again with a full metal band, I'd love to come on that journey with you. I really think that we could do something. And I said, well, maybe. And I wasn't really convinced at the time. But then, a few months afterwards, an opportunity came up where I could do a small tour. And so I said to Chris, what do you want to try doing this tour with me? And I think it was my best of tour, the Soundtracks of My Life tour. And we did it together, and the guys worked so hard to play my songs really well and of a high standard, and everybody had a great attitude. And we did another tour in Europe, and then things went from there really. And we've recorded 4 studio albums together now, and 2 live albums and DVDs. So we've done a lot, really. And I don't know why he keeps doing it, because I'm such an arsehole. I'm awful to work with. I'm so direct and demanding at times that and it's just terrible. And one day we got to work. Chris started to say something, and he goes, "Oh, just forget it." He goes, "Just do what you want." It's like, I battered him that much. So I don't know how he keeps going, but he does, and he's just brilliant. He puts up with me where, I think a lot of times if he did have a firearm, he would have used it on me, and tried to make it look like a suicide, So it's because we both have such high standards and we both push so hard that we're in that situation. But also nothing is impossible, and we take on every challenge. So, well, we don't know how we're going to do it. We don't know where it's going to end up, but we know we will do it, and we know it's going to be good. Even though now it actually just sounds like a few toddlers hitting triangles, at preschool. But this is going to sound like a great heavy metal song by the time we've had it. It's going to be good, and we just we keep going. But it is a challenge, and we've worked together. We've written about 40 songs together, so we have a kind of a shorthand of the way we do it. And it's not my full-time band. Chris and his band Absolver are a band in their own right. They record themselves and produce themselves. They are independent. They make their own albums. They do their own tours, and they're great. And if you listen, if you want to, right, what's British heavy metal? You can give somebody an Absolver CD and say, well, that's British heavy metal, just as much as Saxon or Iron Maiden or anybody else. You can say Absolver, that's British heavy metal. Everything about that is British heavy metal. So it's good. It's good. It's a challenging thing, but it's a challenge because we're both seeking something which appears to be unobtainable when we start. You will never think that sometimes what we have on the demo will ever be good enough to record on an album that someone would be interested in listening to. It's just like, how have we ever made a song that's good enough for an album? This guy seems a million miles away. And I don't know how it happens, but tweak by tweak and lyric by lyric and note by note. And Chris, I want you to play it twice as fast. What? No, not speeding up. You got to pick it twice as fast. But that's impossible. And then, a couple of hours later, there is, and it's like, wow! And this excitement is there, man. And it's like, well, 2 hours ago it was impossible. Can you do this? Oh, God. And so that's how it goes on, But I suppose I'm very, very lucky to have such a wonderful team to work with and people that I can share my vision of what a great record should be. Whether it is or not is irrelevant, but I'm trying to make an album that could be considered great. And that's my objective every time. That's my focus, that my fans will say, that's a great album. And that's...
I'd defy anyone to say otherwise about War Within Me, mate. I really would. It's a fucking brilliant record. And I'm not saying this because
thank you very much, Lee.
I'm not saying this just because I'm talking to you. When I got sent the copy from Mark and I put it on, and obviously I'd already heard War Within Me because you'd obviously released that as a single, and I loved that. And like I say, then when Mark sent me the whole album, I'm someone like you. I like to listen from an album from start to finish and soak it in. And I'd like to say I've had it on in the car, had it on at work when I probably shouldn't have, but had it on and came in and said to my wife Jo, I just said to Amelia, like, I'm gonna have to play you this because this is amazing. It is a solid album, mate, and I defy anyone to say otherwise. In fact, I'd argue with anyone who said otherwise.
Thank you so much. That's so reassuring, and it's a huge relief.
So what does the rest of the year look like for you, mate? I know it's a bit of a weird one to try and...
Well, I'm trying to write the Infinite Entanglement book, the trilogy was huge, and it started out as a short science fiction story which came from a song idea called Eating Children. And that book started about 5 years ago, and the lyrics that I didn't have for a studio album, I looked through my notes and I just had this short story and bits and notes, and that worked as lyrics. And before we knew it, it was a concept album, and then it was a trilogy because the story was a beginning, a middle, and an end. It was finding out who you were, surviving, and then finding redemption. And that's 3 albums, 34 songs. But what happened was, by the time we got to the end of the first album and the beginning of the second, I'd run out of story, even though I knew where I wanted to kind of end it. And so then we had more of the story was on the albums, which, you know, some of the lyrics really have a lot in them. So then I'm faced with, well, it's supposed to be a book, kind of like War of the Worlds, except backwards in a way. We have the album and then we make it into the book. We don't take the book and make it into a musical album, you know. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm chipping away at that. It's much more difficult than I thought. It's like writing 10 albums at once. But, you know, as a frontman of heavy metal bands, I have been guided by the same thing through my career, and that is equal amounts of stupidity and courage. And and this is what the blend that every good frontman must have. You must be too stupid to realize it's impossible, and you must have the courage to start out and complete what you have started. So in the old days at Wolfsbane gigs, and to be honest, it's happened at some of the more boisterous and enthusiastic gigs that I've done in certain parts. We in Wolfsbane, we never closed our eyes on stage. You know, people go, yeah, man, and all of that. No, man. You know every word, and you're waiting for stuff to come in on the stage, man. And you're like that. And that's how we were back then, you know. So I think that's a part of it. You go on and you're too stupid to give up and go, oh, it can't be that people don't like me. I don't want to get off. And then you have the courage to go, even if they do want us to get off and they hate us, there's one person here who travelled from West Brom to see us. We're going to carry on and do it, you know. So that's it. So with my book, it's kind of the same thing, you know. I was too stupid to think, I've never wrote a book before. What made me think I could write a book? But I'm like, nah. And then then my courage goes, you've got to do it. Come on, pick yourself up. Let's go. You've got to do it. But it seems impossible. No, don't listen to that voice. Come on. Now do it. And that's it. So that's where I am with it. And I chip away at that, you know, as many days as I can. And then I don't worry at all about the future. You know, I'm very lucky. I appreciate where I am. I'm very grateful for all the support that I've got. I want my fans to survive. And if I ever do become Prime Minister, it will be a legal requirement to have heavy metal on daytime radio. I think
that's a good reason for people to vote for you.
Yeah. So, and I think, well, you know, I'll just do what I do. And Stephen Hawking said, think about the things that you can do. Focus on the things that you can do, not the things you can't do. I don't know if gigs are going to happen. You know, there are bookings. I don't have nothing to do with that. The manager can do with that. I'm not about the business. When I was in charge of the business, I completely failed and I lost my house. So I'm not interested in business or anything like that. When I'm on stage singing to my fans, that's when I'll believe the gig is happening. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm going to be here now, enjoying talking to people about this album that I'm so proud of and doing the best that I can for my fans. And eventually, let's hope that we see live music again and bands will start performing again. But let's not live there. Let's live here. And let's keep ourselves going, stay healthy, try and keep our mental health going so that we actually get there.
Yeah.
When there is a gig and it comes on, that we're not in a mental hospital or worse, we're actually going, oh, great, there's a gig, right, on our way. Not that we're going, I can't go, I feel terrible. So let's just keep ourselves going best we can. That's what I'm trying to do each day, keep myself going and I'm just grateful every day for the support and encouragement that I've got from my fans, you know, over the years when I've had nothing, man. I've had nothing. I've been working in a shop and I've had no band. And I was working in that shop and fans came into the shop to get an autograph and they said, how's it going, Blaze? Any idea when your next album's going to be? And I'd be like, what? And people would just expect it. Of course you're going to make another album. And at times when I didn't believe, then people made me believe. And I'm so grateful for that. And now here I am with a wonderful album and fans all around the world and all this incredible support. And I can hopefully do something where my fans will go, you know what? Oh, it's a difficult day. It's a challenging day. It's a tough day. What do we have on the playlist for today? War Within Me. That's what we're going to use to get through this day. Enter me, Blaze Bayley. Enter me. Take me through this day. Man, I'm so lucky. Yeah. I'm so lucky. It's a privilege. I see it as a privilege that someone trusts me enough to go, right, oh, yeah. I'm in their head for 40 minutes. And someone trusts me enough to do that. And it's my music that they reach for and go, I need this. I really need this. Or they go to their partner, let's just sit quietly and listen to this song. Let's just listen to let's just be close and listen to this. And when they go, you know what? I hate washing up. I don't want to be in this kitchen. So I'll bring Blaze Bayley into the kitchen to do the washing up with me. You know, it's just, I feel it's a privilege for me.
At the beginning of the show, mate, we are going to play War Within Me. But what song of yours would you like us to play at the end of the interview? Anything you like?
I think if you have Wolfsbane, Tough as Steel, then that goes back and it's a sentiment about not giving up. Steel really means something. So that would be great. From my past, it would be great to have Tough as Steel from Wolfsbane as well.
All right, Blaze, we'll go there, man. Mate, thank you so much for your time, Blaze. This has been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Okay, Lee. Wish you well. All the best, man.
Take care, dude.
Thank you. Cheers, Lee. Bye-bye.
Mate.